Trump will punish doctors and hospitals providing trans health care if elected president. In a recent story released on his social media platform, former President Trump vowed to punish doctors who provide gender-affirming health care to minors if he is reelected next year, wading into a contentious debate that has captured the attention of state and federal lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. It is one of the strongest anti-LGBTQ plus messages against the LGBTQ plus community in modern history. In the nearly 4-minute-long straight-to-camera video, Trump outlined his plan to protect children, quote, protect children from left-wing gender insanity, end quote, unveiling a slate of extreme policy proposals targeting transgender identities, including a federal law that recognizes only 2 genders and bars transgender women from competing on women's sports teams. He even suggested a complete ban of trans medical surgery in America. Trump also said that he plans to pass a law barring minors from receiving gender-affirming health care in all 50 states and intends to direct the Justice Department to investigate the pharmaceutical industry and individual hospitals to determine whether they, quote, deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich, end quote. As per the video, doctors treating transgender youth will be booted from Medicaid and Medicare under his leadership. The video also mentioned that his proposed policy changes would extend to education and school officials.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parent's consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
It's like his goal is to be a cartoon villain. He's not even trying to seem reasonable anymore. You know, and of course, if I had heard all of that with something that wasn't verifiably false, I would have probably just fallen out of my chair anyway. In all of human history, there are lots of cultures in history that have gender fluidity, that have special roles for people who don't fit the binaries. And sometimes those roles are sacred, and sometimes they are special, a part of the family. But I almost couldn't even continue listening once he said the words nuclear family.
Yes.
How many children does he have by how many wives? I mean, his is not a nuclear family. His is not one wife, him and 2 kids living in the suburbs. The hypocrisy, I can't even stand. P.S. What's going to happen if this is such a minority of people that you're making a big deal about? What you were doing is you're distracting people from things that do impact them to keep them focused on stuff that won't, while hurting the people it does impact. What's going to happen is that every bully in the world now has more permission to target trans kids or families that are made up differently. And so these people are more vulnerable, more unsafe, just because he said those words. Never mind if it actually becomes law. Yeah. This is very dangerous. It's very discriminatory. And as Reverend Robert said earlier, at home I call him Reverend Honey, as he said earlier, it never stops with one group. If we just sit by and let this happen, the next group, and the next group, and finally your group. And that's what's so terrifying.
And the thing I believe about all that he just said was he does not believe any of that. It is the people who are behind him. And I say follow the money. And I believe if you follow the money behind Donald Trump, it will lead right back to a lot of these evangelical churches who are pushing this agenda.
Yes.
Right, right. We know so many people in our community. Sunshine Cathedral, we are open and affirming. We're an LGBTQ plus church. We welcome everybody wherever they are in their faith journey. We know and we love, and our friends, our family, are part of the trans community, the non-binary community. So it was very difficult for me to watch because I just felt like, almost like a punch in the stomach. It's like they're attacking my family.
Yes. Yeah. It was ugly. It was threatening.
Yeah,
it was threatening. It was deliberately threatening. It was ugly threatening. And while he's yelling this script that he had no integral or spiritual or intellectual connection to,
correct.
What was clear is threat to an already marginalized community.
Yes.
And any decent person has to respond to that with the visceral, no, we can't treat people that way. We can argue about what age to start a thing, but just to say these people are somehow fundamentally less than human and we're not even gonna let them, this is erasure. And that is what only the worst of dictatorships have done throughout the years. And every country that has done that to any group never comes out the good guy in the history books. Right. Even if you think you can rewrite the history books, eventually truth outs. I'm sorry, Reverend.
And just on a different vein, this is the woke right telling everybody what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it.
And who they're going to cancel.
And who they're going to cancel. This is the guy who believes in individual rights except for the people that he dislikes. And it's clear, I think, that everybody at this table is saying the same thing, that he doesn't believe a word that he says. He thinks that this is going to get enough of a coalition that will get him back into the White House. And I know that even the right wing is beginning to walk away from him. So this may be his last attempt to scream like some crazy person did in Congress the other day, "You liar."
Right, yeah. Right. I disagree with his politics as much as he's committed to any politics. I disagree with his politics. I'm afraid of his prejudices.
Yes.
Right, right. And I recognize also, I mean, here at Sunshine Cathedral, a large part of what we do is putting people back together with a faith community. When people hear that, if they're part of the trans community or the NB community, any part of the LGBTQ plus community, the straight community who have children maybe who are trans or NB, we put their faith, hopefully, back to them. We guide them, we help them. When they hear this kind of thing, it's just devastating. It's destroying. It's life destroying.
It is, and we're here to help, as you said,
right.
put people. we are here to save people, not from some afterlife thing that we can't prove.
Right.
We're here to save you from that kind of foolishness that destroys lives here and now.
Right, exactly.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.